There we go. It's a beautiful, sweet smell. The smell of a gardenia. Now, you will see that there's some yellow, not so nice looking flowers. Those are the ones that have already been pollinated, and the white ones are still waiting for the insects to pollinate them. So there we go. It shows the insects which ones still need to be pollinated. You can see the hive of insect activity around there. Well, those are those evil little biting midges. But yes, they're not pollinating the gardenia tree. They're just buzzing about, being annoying. Isn't that stunning? Such a lovely tree. Always a good spot to look for lions when you're out in the Mara, especially in the areas where there's not a lot of trees. These gardenias can get very thick and provide excellent shade for the big cats to hide under. Okay, off we go. Okay, so while we continue our adventures, let's go back across to Madam McCurdy, who still hasn't found a cat.
No, I haven't. I have not found a cat yet, Brain. And I know that you are going to, well, keep hassling me about that, aren't you? He's never going to let that go. He never does. So, we are still driving. I'm just going to, like I said, you're just going to drive until we find something now. I've driven into an area though where we've seen the shepherd tree male leopard a few times. Hopefully if he is around, he'll be up in a tree, which will be easier for us to see, because again, he's in the grass. We're probably going to drive straight past him. Just to give you an idea, there's some buffalo. I just want to show you how hard it is to see an animal that weighs over 800 kilograms. Can you see them, Archie? You can literally just see their horns. That is 3 times the weight of a lioness. You've got to go straight ahead. There's buffalo just sitting in the grass. No, low down. Go down. Sorry, I can't see where you're looking now. Can you not see them with your eyes? So if you put your hand straight out to the left, they're there, quite close. See this little termite mound? There we go. Go in now to a little bit to the left. Left. There we go. A little bit to the right. You've got them. There they are. So they're the buffalo. 3 big duggar boys sitting in the grass, and that's all you can see. Now, the only thing that chance we've got actually of finding these cats is that if I can't see over the grass, the lions can't see over the grass, nor can the cheetah or the leopards. So they're going to have to use vantage points. So hopefully they will be on the move, or even just resting up on termite mounds. And that might help us this morning. Those buffalo most certainly can't see over the grass when they're sitting down, but they are a little bit taller than it. How crazy is that? Such a large animal completely disappeared. So that's what we're up against. It is so tricky. So tricky. But let's carry on. Let's keep trying. The only thing we can do, of course, is just drive around. Wonder what birds we'll find here. Just check. Ah, yes, so there was a question from Brent, and it was if we find any caracal in the Mara. I haven't seen any yet, but you should see them out here. I'm sure there's been a couple of sightings. Has Jamie, Brent, or Scott, or James, I think someone's seen a caracal up here. It might have been Brent, we'll have to ask him. And I've seen many caracals, though. I've been very lucky down where I'm from, the Eastern Cape of South Africa. It's filled with them. They're everywhere. It's really cool to see. I've even seen caracal kittens before. Ah, apparently so Jamie and Brent have seen caracals. Who have we got up there? Lappet-faced vulture. But exceptionally elusive. You probably have a better chance of seeing them at night. And look at the little weavers as well. So it looks like there's weavers that are nesting around. Who have we got up there? Is that I don't know if it's a vulture. Maybe it's just the weavers that are building nests there. But I don't think I can call this bird beautiful. That'd be a bit silly of me, but a lappet-faced vulture. What are you doing? You're being annoyed by all the other birds that's starling there too? Are you going to fly? Are you losing your footing a little bit? They're such heavy birds as well. It always amazes me as to how they can balance on such small branches like that. We haven't been seeing too many vultures, so I wonder where they all have been. Obviously, if there's not a lot of carcasses and things around, there's no need for them to hang about. Vultures aren't really able to hunt for themselves. They've got very stubby toes. There's, I think, 2 species that are able to hunt for themselves, though. As you can see, those stubby toes there, it doesn't really work very well for trying to crush your prey, but then you can see, look at that robust bill for tearing through the hides of all the different animal species. They're very powerful beaks. So they'll be all about, and then it's amazing how they all just come back with a migration. There's of course a lot of death around. At the Purangut Bridge, it's quite spectacular to see all the wildebeest carcasses, and unfortunately most of them have drowned, some of them caught by crocodiles, and then you'll see lots of vultures around there too. Right, but we're looking for cats, because I haven't seen a cat now for I don't know how long. I had one not last night, the night before, and it wasn't particularly great. It was one girl in the marsh, and then she disappeared, which was very sad. I was very upset about that, that she'd all just gone. Brent is on a roll this morning, but I suppose that's what you get if you head down towards the Mara River. You're guaranteed to find the Paradise Pride amongst the short grass, and it seems as though Brent has found some lioness.
Well, here we go. It looks to be a mating pair, and one of the musketeers, I'm not sure which, so definitely one of the ones lying a couple of 100 meters behind us is Mr. Scarface. This is more than likely in this area a Mogoro lioness. So I wanted to see the Mogoro lionesses. I'd prefer to see all 3 of them, but one will do. And it's definitely, they're definitely mating at the moment. So it's going to be worth our while to play the patience game, sit here for a bit. Now, there's often quite a misconception that one male lion in a coalition is the most dominant all the time. The thing about male lion coalitions is the dominance changes depending on injuries, how well fed you are, who's in a worse mood that morning. So it is quite interesting. So of course, and quite often in this area, Scarface seems to have been the most dominant in the mating with the females, and that's pretty much the best way to tell who's dominant at the time, is who's got the ladies, and if they're in estrus, and they will fight tooth and claw over the right to mate and pass on their genetic lineage. So it seems like this musketeer is the most dominant at the moment, and so it constantly changes. It's a ebb and flow of the lion prides, unlike the lionesses, where there isn't really a single dominant individual in the pride, and it's quite interesting. And again, there's no real hierarchy unless they're at the dinner table with the lionesses, and then it's whoever's the most hungry generally becomes the most dominant or most aggressive over the carcass. And again, that can change just depending on the situation. Proud Cat Mama is wondering, is it difficult for predators to hunt in tall grass? Not really. I think if anything, it actually aids them and gives them more cover. It's definitely much harder to hunt in short grass than it is in long grass. The long grass offers them a nice hidey hole when they're approaching their potential prey. Very peaceful. Now you can see we're actually not close to the river at all. We're quite far from the river. We're in the proper grasslands, as you can see. Very few trees around. So the river is at its closest, probably about 1 kilometer from where we are at the moment. Oh no, go land. Okay, so it looked like, there we go, it's a displaying rosy by the looks of things. It is, there we go, a male rosy-throated longclaw doing the lady dance. So the lion's got a lady, he's a bit short of a lady at the moment. Did you spot one? There he's off again. See, that's a display, very prominent, sort of flapping, not flying very quickly, and he's saying, look at me, I'm so pretty. Oh, lion on the move. Okay, that looks like they're going to mate. There are other vehicles around. Let me just move quickly. Is there a car behind us? You're holding on. So we go quite carefully through the grass here. There's quite a lot of rocks around this area. It looks like, of course, they're going into a minefield of rocks, so we're just going to go slowly, carefully around the edge. Curiously blank is saying, what has been my favorite lion encounter? Oh, listen to some growling. She's growling at him. Oh, in the Mara. I've had so many. I think one of my favorites is definitely the first time I heard Boxer Nose, which is a male lion on the other side. He's got a very distinct, funny roar. Big Sausage Pride, we were following them the whole night, and then it started raining and we had to sort of cover up and get into the tent, and when that happened, we lost the lions while they were hunting after the migration. So we lost the lions, and then we're like, oh, it's raining, it's cold, we're just going to have a quick nap. And when we woke up, the lions had found us, and they had gone to sleep right in front of the car. That was quite a fun moment, especially because I was very happy. That meant at 4 a.m. I wasn't driving around in the cold trying to find lions, and they came and found us. But we've seen many spectacular things. The Serena Pride hunting aardvark at night. That was a special one with lions. So we've had quite a lot of wonderful lion sightings, actually. There's still something I really want to see. I know we've seen it on the river cams, but I want to see a lion crossing the Mara River. I really want to see that. Now, it looks like she's probably not quite in estrus yet, so that's why she's not ready to mate. So I think what I'll do is I'll come back a little bit later and take a little trundle further down the road, see if we can find anything else. While we do that, let's go see Madam McCurdy, who's still playing in the mist.
I know the mist is following us around today, but it is the most gorgeous scene with this big herd of elephants moving through the grass, and the mist has actually almost blocked out the escarpment completely. Isn't that so cool? I think that is so stunning. We really are so fortunate in the Mara with the scenery, and then when we have misty mornings like this, it is absolutely stunning. But a big herd of ellies. We are seeing larger groups at the moment, although I suppose they can break off into smaller groups if they wanted to. Not particularly close, all just scattered out grazing, but moving in the same direction. And that's what they will do, is they'll just feed around. They don't necessarily have to stand on top of one another. You'll find that, like I just said, you'll have smaller little family groups within the big herd. So you'll have mom and maybe her daughters and their calves, and they'll feed together. Now, Mia, you're wondering if the elephants migrate. Most certainly, elephants are constantly migrating, especially when water and food run out. And if it is allowed, sort of here, there's no fences to keep them in, they can move wherever they like, really. So if they feel as though Kenya is not for them anymore, then they'll go back and maybe head down towards Tanzania and check some of those rivers for water or for greener grass. And there was a white bird that was flapping about, and it's a pity we can't see them very well because the grass is so long. It looked like it was maybe a cattle egret, and they typically follow elephants around. There's two youngsters having a bit of a tussle. I always love it when they play. There we go. And this is good practice for when they're older. It's also quite impressive as to how quickly an elephant can reverse. I mean, you'd think because of their size that they can go forward, and they wouldn't be able to go forward quickly, but we know that this is not true. But the fact that they can go backwards quite quickly too is impressive. I don't think I could run that fast going in that direction. And then now they finish playing, now they're bored. That's so lovely. If only there was a leopard sitting in one of those trees. Now, Nonna, you say that you want this scene as a picture in your room. So, Nonna, I tried to take a couple of pictures, and it's actually so difficult to try and photograph something like this. Just because there's so many different contrasting colors. You've obviously got the yellows and greens, and then the dark elephants, and they look like they've been covered in mud, or maybe they're just wet from the rain. And then you've got all the clouds and the escarpment and the bright blue sky. So it's quite difficult to capture. And then also to try and get it all in is even harder, because the elephants just sort of look like dots. But it is beautiful. I wish I could take a mental picture right now. I'm so sorry, Megs. Please can I have that again? I feel like my comms are leaking from somewhere. Sorry, I'm listening. I'm just hearing... I'm hearing Megan's voice coming from somewhere else. I wonder if is it your comms that I'm hearing it from? Maybe. I don't know, there's some leakage. So sorry, Anna Marie. I didn't quite get that because I'm just trying to figure out where on earth the sounds is coming from. But you've said that I'm so enjoying the misty drive. You're saying that it's adding to the scenery. There we go. Sorry, Megs, I'll try and figure out. Can you actually hear, can you hear your voice coming through? I know we're live at the moment. We just need to try and figure this out, though. Megan says she can't hear her own voice. That's good. I can hear it leaking from somewhere, so I'll have to try and figure out where it is. You know, the mist does add an element of beauty to it, doesn't it? And it's nice now that it's starting to thin out. It's actually disappearing very, very quickly and starting to lift. It's going to be a very warm day in the Mara Triangle. Perhaps a pool day is necessary. I'm sure the elephants are slowly making their way down to the river, although they don't have to go down to the river with all the rain that we've had. There's like these mini lagoons that are starting to form. Well, not form. They're so pretty. Massive mud wallows, and then the marsh, of course, is saturated at the moment, and so they can just go and play around and splash around in there. And I think that's exactly what the elephants will do at some point. But we're not too far away from the river. I'm starting to see the tree line, so I don't think we're particularly far away from Brent either. So we'll head on to the river road, and then I think we're going to go back towards the marsh. We've still got quite a bit of time. I don't know, maybe we'll have a little look around. Maybe the Angamas are that side and they weren't closer towards the escarpment. They were maybe somewhere else. We will have to see. Though I'm not a huge... we all know I like the cats, it's great, but I'd much rather see some small animals doing strange things, doing behavior that I haven't seen before. So where are the snakes? I saw another garter snake 2 nights ago, which was quite cool. I'm so sorry, Megan. Something is very wrong in this car with my comms. because I'm only getting half of what you're saying. I think Archie's is fine, but mine is not great. I think it was a question from Amando, and you're wondering what species are most active in the morning. The cats typically. The cats enjoy obviously moving around when it's nice and cool. No, now I need to concentrate. There's black cotton soil here, it's very slippery. And a lot of the birds start waking up obviously just before the sun has risen, so they're quite active. And then you'll get the smaller creatures, the elusive ones like aardvark and bat-eared foxes and jackals. They'll also all be out and running around. Something like an elephant won't necessarily be too active. They'll be up and around and moving. Oh, do you know what I saw that I haven't even told you about? It was such a cool sighting. So it was just before the sun came out. Actually, it was still quite dark, and Manu and I are driving around trying to find some lions, like what we're doing now, having no luck. And I see this big heap on the ground, but now it's not quite light enough. I mean, it's not dark enough anymore for me to use my spotlight, but it's that very hazy light and it's playing tricks on my eyes. So I see this heap laying next to the road, and I was like, oh, that's a big termite mound. We haven't been seeing too many of those. And we drove right past it. It was an elephant that was fast asleep, absolutely horizontal, snoring, just having the greatest time ever. And the only reason I knew it was an elephant when we got around the other side and we could see the tusks. But he also had a mud bath. But he wasn't sick or anything. He must have just been exhausted and decided he needed to rest. So he stood up, he looked at us, he ate for a bit, and then after we left he lay back down again and carried on with his slumber, which was quite nice. I can probably count on my hands how many times I've seen elephants sleeping. Yeah, we're not going that way. Sorry, I'm just looking at and trying to find a route where we're not going to get stuck, because then I'll have to hear it from Brent about not finding any cats and getting stuck, and I think that that's just too much for me in one day. So we're going to try our best to not get stuck. So I found the most firm route at the moment. It's very sludgy here. It looks like there's some animals up around the left, so we'll head that side and take a look at them. Brent, I think, has moved on from his lions now. I wonder if he's going to find any more.
Well, we're not looking for lions, so we probably will find quite a few more. Taylor, I would never tease you. Never, never. Because you're such a good driver and you never get stuck. Now, Megan's got an interesting question about, apart from the Thompson's gazelle, what other African animals can you see the evolutionary changes? Now, the one reason why I like talking about it with Tommy so much is because it's something that's very easy to see. In a lot of the other African mammals, because remember, evolution is an ongoing thing, the evolutionary adaptations and changes are sometimes not physical, they're behavioral. So different behavior in the different animals, you can see how it's changed. A good example of that, and that's quite a recent development, probably less than a 500,000 years, that eland have developed an evolutionary adaptation towards man, from when man was a hunter-gatherer on the open savannas of Africa. The eland are very big, very heavy, and very powerful, and that works really well if they're defending themselves against lions or something like that. They are not very fast. Now, they have different distances they'll run from different predators, and to what they consider a safe distance. Now, their longest distance is for man. So if an eland sees a lion, it'll run 50 meters and know it's okay. There's enough space between it. But because man can run and keep running for a long period of time, eland have developed the evolutionary adaptation that they will then make sure when they see a human being walking, they will try to put more distance than they would for any other predator, up to about 500, 600 meters. Now, that for me is very interesting. So a group of hunters could quite easily run down an eland by just keep running and keep running and keep running till the eland gets fatigued, and they are able to stab it to death. So the eland will run further from a walking human being than it will from a lion or a hyena or a cheetah or whatever. We're not going to stay with these ellies. They're just looking a little bit upset. Not sure why, but rather than cause them any strife, you can see the tails were a little bit up. I'm just going to keep moving down the road. But yeah, so a lot of the evolutionary things are far more noticeable in a behavioral aspect rather than a physical aspect. That's why Tommies are so cool, because you can actually see the physical adaptation happening. Where there's a lot of animals like impala and even elephants and that, a lot of those physical adaptations have already happened. You can still see physical adaptations in the difference between forest elephants and savanna elephants. Their size, the way their tusks on the forest elephants curve downwards so they don't get hooked in thickets in the forest as much. How they're a lot smaller, because even though the forest is an incredible place, there's not that much easily accessible good food. A lot of the good food is really high up, and of course, well too high up even for the elephants to get. So they have to, and also their home ranges are much bigger than savanna elephants. There's seasonal shifts on where they feed. So again, there's a lot of behavioral evolution happening rather than physical evolution. Now, Taylor's headed towards the river. We're doing the opposite. As you can see, we're heading towards the escarpment. I'm just actually trying to run away from Taylor. That's exactly what I'm doing. Only joking, of course. But it would be quite funny if I go onto the escarpment where Taylor's been looking for lions and we find some lions, because we're not looking for lions. We're just having a lovely morning safari. It is just so beautiful here. And don't get tired of the vistas. Now, as I make my way further from the Mara River, it sounds like Madam McCurdy is right next to it.
We are sort of. The river's just on our right-hand side, but we can't really see it. And just coming through this way, maybe we find that female lion that I was telling you about that gave us a run for our money the other night and just teased us. Maybe we'll see her. Otherwise, I'm going to check around and see if we can't find the Angamas this side. But it's pretty quiet. I've just seen the first vehicle pass us, which is hysterical. I don't think I've ever seen the Mara quite so quiet. Oh, hang on, we might have a bit of fun up ahead. I see an elephant, and he's swinging his tusk around, no, his trunk. He's shaking his ears. I wonder if we're going to have a fun encounter with this bull. We'll see now, won't we? I can't avoid him, unfortunately, because the road is kind of going in that direction. So, let's see. Yeah. Cheeky fella, he's already lifted his head up. Look at this. Are you scared of me, boy? Oh, shame. No, don't be scared. Very nervous. So you see that behavior? See how he's got his head up? Now we're quite a distance away from him. He just looks like he's in a funny mood, so we're going to try and give him as much room as possible. But like I said, the route that I need to go, I kind of have to go that way. See how he's twisting his trunk as well? Just subtly trying to smell us. I don't think he's had very good encounters with the vehicles. Maybe that's why. Or perhaps he's been lurking about in the villages. It's okay, big boy. Relax. Moving slowly. He's also giving us a wide berth. So not all the animals are comfortable with the cars. Some are more comfortable than others, but he's quite young as well. He probably only around between 23 years old, somewhere around there. Not particularly big. And often young elephant bulls, they either are nasty to the cars because they're trying to establish themselves in sort of a hierarchy. He's got a very bruised ego, being pushed out of a breeding herd, not being able to mate with any females, and not really having any friends at the moment either. So it's not a pleasant life for these young bulls, but they get used to it, you know, and then they do live a life of solitary. Although out here we see quite a few bachelor herds of elephants. We don't see it as often in the Sabi Sand, which is bizarre. I mean, in Zambia, you'd see huge herds, 30 or 40 elephants, just bulls. I have seen bachelor herds, of course, in more so in the Kruger, in the southern parts of Kruger. I've seen some big ones, but not so much in the Sabi sand. Now he's coming around. He wants to come in our direction, but he's not so sure of us. It's okay. Now, Ryan, you're wondering if you can here he comes. I'm just going to watch him. Hang on. Hey! No, it's unnecessary to behave like that elephant. Now, I know he's very far away. I just want him to know, though, from here, that he doesn't need to do that. So he stopped. He's trying to get a reaction from me, as in starting the car and driving away, because that means he won. And this would be he'd be a great bull to have on foot with a group of young guides learning to approach animals. Now, sorry, Ryan, I will get back to your question. Obviously, when we're learning, you have to, of course, be charged by animals. Otherwise, how else are you supposed to learn? You can read as much as you like in a book, but I can tell you right now, when a lion charges you, for the first time, your instinct is to run, and you need to train your body, and basically, and when an elephant charges you, and just say, you have to stay and read the situation. So he'd actually be quite a cool elephant to do an encounter with from a distance. You wouldn't even need to get close, because look how he's mock charged us, and that'd be very, very intimidating, especially if he were on foot. You wouldn't want to do something like that with guests. We typically try not to approach animals on foot with guests. Just because there's an added risk now. That potentially something could go wrong. So we try and just do encounters when you're on your own. It's very important to go walking about in the bush by yourself, unarmed. I think that's quite nice to do, and a lot of reserves in the Sabi sand do that. They send you out for hours and hours and hours, unarmed, and get in touch with nature, which is super important. It's very important to walk in the bush like you don't have a rifle. It gives you a false sense of security, and the amount of times I've had jams doing advanced rifle handling training or misfires and things like that is actually pretty scary. You don't want to actually rely on them. You want to rely on your brain. So let's quickly get back to Ryan's question. We'll carry on driving. We're going to let this bull carry on. I'll just watch him, though, because if he does start to charge again, I'm going to switch the car off. I don't want him to think that he's winning. So the question was, can you age an elephant by looking at their tusks? Not necessarily, and the reason why I say not necessarily is because tusks is based on genetics. Some elephants don't get tusks, some do, some grow them quicker than others, and then the rate may slow down. So I wouldn't say it's an accurate way. However, with a young elephant, there's a guideline. They say that at about 2 years old, you start to see their tusks protruding just through the folds of skin. So that's quite nice to try and, especially when you've got a group of elephants and you're unsure of the ages and all different sizes, look for something like that. But then again, what happens if it's a female that's just has got the tuskless genetics? Gene. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So it all depends. So no, don't look at tusks too much. Goodness, these roads are slippery down here. And we did have rain last night, but it wasn't very much. Was it Megan? Megan, did it rain quite a bit last night? Archie, did it rain quite a bit? Did it? I'm trying to remember when it rained. Was it quite late? Was I sleeping? Maybe I was sleeping. It drizzled while we were up, and then I don't know what happened obviously when I was asleep last night, but the grass was pretty wet this morning. But no big puddles on the road. Okay, now we have to start keeping our eyes open again. I'm going to head towards the forests down this side and give it a bash. Maybe we'll be lucky. Maybe we'll find some more cars, and perhaps they've done all the hard work around the lions for us, because I'm not having any luck today. But it's okay. Brent is also driving around. I wonder if it is as quiet on his side as it is on ours.
Well, it is quiet on the big beastie front, but it is absolutely beautiful. I'm very much enjoying the sunshine, warming the bones, and I'm just keeping an eye out. This is big sausage pride territory. So, because we're not looking for lions, they'll probably be lying in the road. But I'm really hoping by not looking for leopard, we might get lucky. Now there is a female that I've seen in this area a few times, and quite often you see her from a great distance in a tree. She's not the most relaxed female leopard around, but I'm not looking for leopards, so it's fine. Who knows? Now, My World, Your Music would like to know, is it okay to off-road? Yes and no. Now, it all depends on the area you're in. Now, the Mara has a very high density of vehicles, so there are certain areas where the soil types are lateritic, so they get very wet, and well, the whole Mara in general. But however, with the amount of vehicles in the Mara, if everyone off-roaded around that riverine area, it would cause a lot of damage and also cause soil erosion and runoff. So that's why that area along the river is a high usage zone. It's a no off-roading area. However, out here in the big open grasslands, away from the river, there are sensitive soils and sensitive areas, but off-roading is allowed. And of course, all of us have been at this for a long time. And the last thing we want to do, you see in the bush, sorry Craig, there is a white-browed cuckoo. There was a white-browed cuckoo. You will see there's a movement of a bush has dived deeper into that bush. Oh dear. Oh, we'll see if we can find another one. And all of us, you immediately can see an area where it's going to be bad to off-road, where you're going to cause damage to the soil, and you just don't. So it is what it is, and off-roading doesn't do any particular damage to an area if you off-road correctly. Now, of course, in certain areas you get caught out, and that happens, unfortunately. But what happens is if you do damage an area, you go back with the spade and you fill in the ruts and you pack it so it doesn't cause permanent damage. Now, in areas like the Sabi sands or on different soil types where it's a lot drier, bad off-roading can leave damage for longer periods. However, here with the amount of rain we get and just the general grass cover and whatnot, the off-roading tracks and whatnot disappear very quickly. Oh, it is so nice in the sun. Oh, warming the burns. And this is the area from here onwards where that snake eagle we're not looking for has been seen over the last 2 years. So I'm not looking at the top of trees at all. Now Kevin says we're going into summer. Aren't the days quite a lot warmer and wetter? Well, the Mara has a very, very sort of stable climate throughout the year because we are very close to the equator. It gets hot, but it's not blisteringly hot because we're very high. We're at 1,500 meters on the floor of the Mara here. Top of the escarpment around camp is about 1,900 meters. It is a lot wetter, yes, and the animals aren't more scarce. Of course, we don't have the mass of wildebeest that's here during the migration. There's still a lot of animals here. However, as the grass gets longer, it does make them a little bit trickier to find. But I don't think we're going to struggle in the summer months to see lots of incredible creatures in the Mara. Now, you got to look, especially in areas like this where I said the grass is a bit higher, you've got to look a little bit more carefully. The lions don't sort of just pop out as easily, but that is half the fun. Now, of course, the lions, particularly in this area where we are now, change their hunting strategy a lot at this time of the year. They do a lot of daytime hunting, but specifically for warthogs. As there's a huge population of warthogs in the Mara, and as the grass gets longer, it's a little bit easier for the lions to catch them because the warthogs are quite short. Hello, pretty bird. Oh, you evil bird flew away. The grey-backed friskel, it's gone a bit far, but we'll have a quick look at it regardless. There we go. And the bird that evaded us earlier, let me just see if I just saw one flying, if it's sitting in the open. It is. Okay, so Craig, if you go off to the left, you'll... okay, but sorry, my bad. I'm completely confused. I'm lying to you, to the right. So there we go. Between those two trees, there's bushes furthest to the right tree. Those two... Okay, zoom now. A little bit to the right. A little bit more to the right. So a little bit more to the right. And on the right-hand edge of that bush that's on the right-hand side of the screen. There we go. Sitting up on top there. And it's got something in its beak. It is the white-browed cuckoo. A bit far away, but the one escaped us that was close to us. So I spotted that one flying in. And what is it caught? It's quite big, whatever it's called. As I said, a bit far away for us to tell. Now, they are actually quite ferocious hunters. They run in runs, and specifically rodent runs. So in the long grass, the rodents will have lots of little tunnels called runs that they run down, and the cuckoos will actually flatten themselves and run down those runs, hunting little mice and other creatures that might be living in the long grass. We've got some more birds up ahead of us, a bit closer than the cuckoo. Fuzzman Sparkles, you read my mind. Fuzzman Sparkles wonders, can we find a black cuckoo before the end of drive? I'm really hoping so. This is the area where I've seen the most black cuckoos. From here, this is called Laga and Glovo. But the bird's disappearing. Well, Craig spotted something. What have you spotted, Craig? Oh, and a closer white-browed cuckoo. There we go. Well spotted, Craig. Oh, it's calling as well. Wonderful. Oh, it's such a lovely call. Do it again. Do it again. They are nicknamed the rainbird because quite often they do a serious bout of calling just before rains. Come on, give us another little beautiful call. They've got a stunning warbling sort of chortle. Come on, give us another call. Now, obviously been running around in the damp grass this morning hunting, so taking the opportunity to park on top of the bush and warm up with the morning sun, just like I have been enjoying the morning sun. Come on, give the call. Cuckoo call. There we go. I love how they do sort of vibrate, and it's so awesome. Now you will hear sounds like a tractor coming past us. Now it is a tractor indeed. Nobody else, boy. At this time of the year, the roads need constant maintenance, and the guys are hard at work making sure the roads don't disintegrate during the rainy seasons. Okay, come on, one more call, cuckoo. Oh no. Who's in it? He's decided he's off. He's gone off to go hunting. Just going to wait for that tractor to get a little bit further down the road. Very noisy. Now, I've got some advice for Taylor McCurdy. Taylor, stop looking for lions and you might find some.
No, I didn't hear any of that. What advice does Brent have for me? I am alive. Stop looking for... Okay, fair enough. So Brent's advice is stop looking for lions and I'll find some. Actually, to be honest, I've been scanning, but I haven't really been looking for cats anymore. I'm so done with them. I miss the wild dogs. That's what I miss. Hey? Ferrari safari chasing, cameraman getting whacked with branches, me also getting whacked with branches, but racing after them was always so much fun. I look forward to getting back to the Sabi sand and spending some time with them, and the leopards of course, and just the being very close to the animals. I miss that. It really is a privilege to work down in the Sabi sand. and just being guiding in so many different areas. It truly is spectacular, and definitely has the best game viewing in South Africa for wildlife. So what was I doing? I was thinking about things, and now I've forgotten. Firstly, I was thinking about what we're having for breakfast. Oh yes, that's it. And that's exactly what I was thinking about. And it was a question from Rick, and you were wondering, what do we do in between game drives? Well, it depends where you are and who you are. For instance, I like to go and do safari parkour. So safari parkour is where we go and essentially go for a hike, but we jump off of all the rocks and we climb down the waterfalls and do silly things, and it's quite nice. Like I cannot stand going for a run on the airstrip. That is honestly the most boring thing in the entire world, and I just don't enjoy it. So if I can do exercise, I either want to play a sport, do something like that, and with a safari parkour, it's really quite cool. It trains your mind. You've really got to think quickly where you're going to put your feet next, because you're running over the rocks, jumping over them, leaping over water. Obviously you don't want to get your feet in the water, in the mud, because then everything becomes slippery. Sometimes we have naps too, Rick. We have naps every now and then too. They are essential, but the days are so short here in the Mara that we don't really have time to do that. Megan says that she disagrees with me. She says, how can it be boring when you're running through a herd of 30 giraffe on the airstrip? Fair enough. Still bored though, Megs. It's not making my mind work quick at all enough. I need to get my brain tired. Otherwise I've just got too much energy. We go out and photograph things. I go out and do a bit of birding. Brent likes to go for walks as well, do some birding. We catch up on a lot of emails. We have meetings. Today is a day filled with meetings, Rick. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I love it. And we edit photos. We do lots and lots of different things. And good job. Okay, right, let's look. What have we got? Hula hoops, yes, of course. Oh, that's what we were doing last night. How cool is this marshy bit that we're going through? So Elka, who is our camp manager, she's exceptionally good at hula hooping. She's the best hula hooper I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, myself and Megan, we try. We are hopeless. We've got no rhythm. We can't hula hoop very well, but at least you give it a bash. Last night we thought we would just practice our circus tricks. Oh my goodness, now there's all mud spraying up. I'm getting covered in it, so apologies. I haven't got a few more freckles added to my face. It's all the mud. Last night was really funny. I can do handstands fairly well, and I can walk on my hands. I just need to practice a little bit more. My brother and I used to do it so often as kids. And Manu was trying to break dance, and then we were doing cartwheels, and when we were trying to go through the hoop, it was ridiculous. So when you're in the bush, you obviously need to try and keep yourself entertained. So we do things like that all the time, just, you know, to try and stay sane. I see a vehicle parked up ahead. I wonder if there's some lions. Please be lions. At the moment we're just trying to try not join the Marshmallow Club again. I feel like I'll be in death then. Wait, it's a bit bumpy though. We'll just have to hold on here. Oh no. Sorry for all the mud, Archie. Whee! This is probably my favorite thing in the whole wide world, is driving through this section. I come here on purpose. Okay, that road, that section is closed. That car is also moving on, so I don't think that there were lions, unfortunately. What? Is that an animal? Not the elephants. There's something in the reeds. I don't know if it's a hippo. Let's see. Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking at. That thing there. Is that a hippopotamus? That, my friends, is a hippopotamus. Can you see it moving? No, you can just see its back. It is fine. Just remember, hippos do live in the water, and they like these marshy spots too. It's really good for them. Be nice and cool. But this just shows you how dangerous it is out here in the Mara. Crazy. Okay, so Megan's saying that you have a feeling that it's the same hippo that Brent had. I don't know if Brent came this. Did he come through this way? I thought he jumped on the river road. Maybe he didn't. Possibly. We're quite close to the marshy area. But there it sits. But there will be lots and lots of pools of water like this with hippos in them, all scattered around. And particularly in this area, the soil's nice and soft. But sure, that just looks like a rock to me. Imagine stumbling across a hippopotamus like that. So dangerous. Okay, let's carry on. Probably will be from that little pool. I would say it's a young male, not quite big and strong enough to be, fighting for a spot in the Mara River. So he's just come out and just utilizing the luggers. Lots of luggers around here at the moment, and they'll be, filled right to the brim with water. So perfect spot. Then they also don't have to go very far when they want to graze, because this is beautiful grazing that we've got around here. Oh my goodness. I see lots of cars down there. That's where we're going. We're going to race this one. No, I'm joking. We won't race the other car. So I think there's lions up ahead. It's quite far away. It's probably about, with the road that winds, maybe 4 or 5 kilometers away. So it'll take us a bit of time to get there, but we'll eventually do. But it will pick up the pace. But we must be careful though, because the roads are very slippery, and it's so easy to roll cars. You won't believe it. You just let it turn out now and then slide out, and it can tip over. And we've got these big heavy roofs, so we don't want to go too fast and be too silly. Okay, I'm going to make my way towards the cars and figure out if they're having a chat or they've got an animal. Let's go and see if Brent is heading back to the lions he had earlier.
Well, I decided, I think, as it's got warmer, the lions are not going to do much. So I am searching for the black kukkel around this area, and you never know what you might find when you're looking for birds, as case in point this morning. What was that? Don't drive over it. Interesting. Can you get it there, Craig? There's some feces and butterflies on the ground. It looks to be a leopard poo on the road. Female, just judging by the size. Quite fresh because of the butterflies landing on it. And it looks like a whole bunch of little blues. So that leopard dung is quite fresh. Probably from early this morning. Now, it is not uncommon for butterflies to like incredibly smelly nonsense. And certain butterfly traps that butterfly researchers use have the most foul-smelling concoctions in them to attract the butterflies. Now, I'm not sure which species of blue. I can tell you it is a blue, but my Kenyan butterflies, I'm afraid, are not even rusty. They're non-existent. But I think I actually know one of them, but there are hundreds of little blues. But that one's got a very distinct little eye on the base of its tail, and it's got little tails as well, little streamers off the end, and I just can't remember its name. I'm pretty sure I've seen it at Djuma. But that is good news. We have fresh leopard dung. I'm just going to try. It's quite difficult on these main roads to see which way the tracks are going. There we go. She's heading this way. Jojo says, I didn't know butterflies like that kind of stuff. A certain species, the smellier the better that attracts them. Now, certain flowers also have horrible smells to attract certain species of butterflies and wasps and fruit flies, etc., to pollinate them. Now, it gets warm very quickly at this time of the day, and the leopards and the Mara do tend to spend quite a bit of time in trees, but however, I think here it'll be cool enough in the shade of one of these little bushes. So we'll have to be extremely lucky and stop looking for leopard to see her. Just want to check, there's a big balanites. No, there's no tails hanging out of that one. Now, it's, as I said, quite fresh in the last couple of hours, so probably before sunrise she was walking through here, and I'm pretty sure it's that same skittish female I've seen a few times around here. Where are you hiding? Not hiding, leopard. Where are you not hiding? Gweed is wondering, do we ever bring food with you? Well, yes, we do, and the amount of food depends on who your cameraman is. If you have a Batman, he is a great snacker. He was very chuffed at about 4:30 a.m. yesterday morning, and because of course we've been doing our private rehearsals, it means we've been out all night. Now, we have lots of different wonderful snacks made by the kitchen staff, and but Batman has a love of Cocoa Pops at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. He's a big fan of the Cocoa Pops. So on our vehicle, we even have Cocoa Pops at 4:30. But normally, if we're out for the whole day or out at night, we'll have some sandwiches, nuts, crisps. What else do we sometimes take? Cold pasta is always a good one when you're out on a full day. We always make sure we've got some fruit about as well. Oranges, apples. I don't like bananas when we're out all day. So the problem with a banana is if you put it in your cooler box while you're out on an all-day safari, everything in your cooler box smells and tastes like banana, including the sandwiches. Yep. There's a pretty bird. You got him there. There are a huge amount of them around at the moment in the Mara. Here we go, pin-tailed wider, male, in his full breeding colours. He's glammed up for the mating season. During the non-mating season, he is a dull, brown, drab little creature. But he's got his tux on to attract the ladies. Now, they are what you call a brood parasite. Now, a brood parasite is a bird that will lay its eggs in other birds' nests, like a cuckoo. So there are quite a few different types of brood parasites, and they generally will brood parasite the different wax bills, or what do they call them here? Cordon birds. So they are brood parasites. Stanley says, do all birds move their head discontinuously when they walk? I suppose to a degree, yes. Certain birds will move their heads less. You will find your raptors or whatnot. But most of the birds, unfortunately, just the way they move, they have to sort of keep moving their head. I suppose that's where the little wooden sculptures of birds with the bobbling head comes from. Now that actually reminds me. So at boarding school, every Thursday morning we would have a house meeting where what was happening during the week or weekend was discussed. And we had an award in our house called the Dunking Bird, which was a wooden carving of a bird with its head that went like this. And that was for the dumbest thing said that week. And unfortunately, I'm not going to say the poor chap's name, but there was a boy in my brother's year, so 2 years below me. I think he must have won it about 95% of the times. And the one that I always remember, because I forget a lot of that stuff from boarding school, The one I always remember is he won the Dunking Bird for his comment on the Doozy canoe race, or canoe marathon actually. So for those of you who don't know what the Doozy is one of the world's longest canoeing races. It's a marathon. How many days is it? 2 or 3? I think it's 3 days along the Msunduzi River, which flows from the Natal Woodlands and joins the Mgani River and then goes out to sea in Durban at a place called Blue Lagoon in Durban, well, near Durban North. That's where the river goes out to sea. So you start, the race starts in the town of Pietermaritzburg, and it goes downstream all the way to Durban. And it is one of the longest canoe races in the world. And canoeing was quite a big sport at our school. And this poor chap, who was the worst, that makes it even worse, he actually was part of the canoeing club. It was his sport of choice. He asked the one year, guys, do you know if the Doozy is it up or down this year? Now, maybe he was getting confused with the Comrades Marathon, which also goes from Maritzburg to Durban, and they have years where you run up from Durban to Maritzburg and years when you run down from Maritzburg to Durban. However, the Doozy Canoe Marathon is always down. You can't exactly paddle up rapids in a canoe. So that was the Dunking Bird Award at boarding school. That was given to the stupidest thing said of the week, and it was won by that particular chap many occasions. Hi guys, that's a guy's fixing the road. Yes, well, is the Doozy uphill this year? I mean, honestly, even the strongest canoeer in the world wouldn't be able to paddle up some of those rapids. Now, this is the area Taylor was looking for lions earlier, so we're not. Now, poor Madam McCurdy has been short on felines this morning, so hopefully before the end of the sunrise safari, a little bit of my luck has rubbed off on her.
I'm hoping so. I will take it. I'll take that luck and I'll keep it, Brent. And I'll rub it all over myself like this, and hopefully that works. Manu and I were talking about needing ladybugs, and then I saw a picture of this woman covered in head to toe with ladybugs. It was quite cool actually. That's what I need. So we went round to where those cars were, and there were 2 females and a male lion, but unfortunately we're in the non-off-roading areas and they'd gone into a tree line and were laying flat, so I couldn't even see where they were, but they pointed me in the right direction. So that's one Pride Alliance for this afternoon. We have got a rehearsal. Is it a private rehearsal, Megan? I think it is, this afternoon. And then apparently something about the Angamas. The Angama Pride was somewhere as well. I think they said in their normal spot. You know, the only thing that is quite difficult out here is to try and get actual instructions or directions from people. I mean, we talk about it often. You get sent on a a wild goose chase trying to find animals. So I'm not actually sure where they are. So we'll have to. We won't have enough time now to check, but we'll check this afternoon. So they're somewhere around here as well. But they're going to be hiding away now with all of the sun that we've got out at the moment. No clouds in the sky. It's going to be very hot. There was a good question, I think it was from Shamson, about if I miss not being able to track. Most certainly. I was talking about it this morning actually, how I really do miss tracking animals. It's so rewarding following the footprints and then of course finding the animal in the end. It's really quite nice. And just getting pretty much into the head of that animal and trying to think what steps they would have taken next. It's so hard here. Sometimes on the muddy ground you see their footprints, but other than that, and in the sand, you know, we don't spend enough time out of the cars, but you wouldn't really be able to track here. It would be very difficult. That's why I was saying with the fog, it throws us off a bit, because we rely on spotting animals at very far, you know, distances away from the vehicle. And if you've got fog or mist, you can't be doing that. So I think we're just going to stick on this main road because I'm a bit tired of slipping and sliding around now. It's not particularly great. So we'll just keep having a look. I'm trying to see where all the cars are going, if they have found the Angamas. That's the another thing, is that sometimes someone said they've seen something when they really haven't either. That also happens. And then they send you on another wild goose chase, which is always a lot of fun. That's so great. But yeah, fairly quiet still. Lots of elephants around. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you now. No, sorry, I was just listening to your question carefully, and it's from Amando, and you're wondering if lions have a preference when they hunt, or they just sort of catch anything that shows up. I would say a bit of both. If they are laying about and they're just resting, and a warthog stumbles across them because they didn't know they're there, they'll probably try and catch it. It depends though. I mean, if you've got a big pride in lions, let's say for instance the Angamas, so it's 4 lionesses and 13 cubs. My goodness, I don't think those lionesses are going to go, you know, I'm feeling a bit like impala today, and then they won't go and just catch an impala, because one impala is not even going to be enough for those 4 lionesses. It's going to just fill them, never mind the 13 hungry cubs they have to feed. So I think it also depends on the size of the pride. They'll take that into consideration. Ideally, with so many mouths to feed, you want to catch something like a buffalo, an eland, a waterbuck, something quite large. It's that they're not going to have to hunt again the next day. If they can, they'll sit with their carcass for a couple of days. That's ideal. So that's what they would prefer. Remember, they're opportunistic, so they'll take any opportunity that they can. If they haven't eaten for a while and there's one warthog piglet out, they are going to try and catch it, because that small amount of energy that they can get from that little warthog piglet will help them on the next hunt. Because every attempt they make, they use valuable energy and fat sources that have been stored up. And if you aren't putting it back in, you're just going to get weaker and weaker, and your chances of hunting, successfully taking down something, are going to get less and less. So they don't want that to happen. So there's so many elephants around, and I was just, a bit confused as to why that elephant bull at such a far distance was so angry with us. And I think what's happened is, I think he's gone moving through all the big breeding herds that are around, and obviously there's been a few cows that are in estrus. I'm just obviously speculating, I don't know that this is true, and perhaps he's gone through and there's been a bigger bull in that herd and has given him a bit of a hiding and sent him off on his way. So he's probably feeling a little bit sorry for himself. Just because I have been seeing quite a few big bulls dotted around at the moment, and quite close to the breeding herds. And when you are that young, you think that you're in the top of your game. Meantime, you're nowhere close, to some of the big tuskers out here. And sure, and those older bulls, they're not particularly tolerant, especially if there's cows in estrus. Obviously, if there's no one in estrus, they're not going to be too bothered by it. They'll be all right and tolerate the youngsters. Now, Brent is looking for a bird that I have not seen before, so I hope he does manage to find it. Maybe his cat luck is not working for me, but perhaps I can send you some bird luck, Brent.
Well, thank you, Hurdy Birdie McCurdy. I do like a little bit of luck. It's always great to be good, but it's even better to be lucky. Now, the best time of the morning to see black kukels is early on, and I think it's a bit warm now. They're going to start dropping into the grass, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find one this rainy season in the Mara. They're smaller than the white-browed kukels, but again, same hunting strategy. They run through and hunt in long grass and swampy areas. The black kukul prefers wetter areas than the white-browed kukul. Now, there is a chance, if we're very lucky, not common in the Mara, but it has been recorded before. Oh, I can't remember its name now. I've just gone absolutely blank. We saw quite a lot of them when we were in Uganda. Oh, it's a very big kukul, massive kukul, in fact. Is it a blue-headed? Let me just double check that. Pretty sure it was the blue-headed kukul, but I'm just going to double check. So much bigger than both the white-browed and the black smaller than the white-browed. Now, while I search to make sure I'm not fibbing, I'm pretty sure it's blue-headed kukul. I'll answer a question from Krista. Hi, Krista. Krista wants to know, is it easier for the leopards to hunt? Oh, sorry, I do apologize profusely. Trista with a T. Is it easier for the leopards to hunt in the Mara or in the Sabi sands? Oh, I'd say it's probably about the same, Trista. I'd say, if anything, a little bit easier in the Mara because the prey density is higher. But leopards are incredibly adaptable. They will eat mice, catfish, birds, eggs, anything they can get their paws on. I'm just trying to double check the kukul. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, the blue-headed kukul, very pretty bird. There's a very outside chance we'll get them in the Mara. So very kukul-like, just a lot bigger than the other kukuls. It was the blue-headed kukul, and they like papyrus swamps a lot. Like their cousin, which is another one of the very big kukuls, the coppery-tailed kukul. But there's an outside chance you could get them in very, very marshy areas around here. In Kenya, they're generally a bit further north, but there have been 1 or 2 records of them from the Mara. Okay. It is a bit quiet up around the escarpment. But that's, I say, probably due to the fact the grass is long. It's not that the animals aren't here. It is a lovely morning though. Well, it seems like it hasn't gone Taylor's way today, but that's how it is, and it's always just a treat and a privilege to be out in the African bush, whether you see all the big cats or none. It's just very special to be surrounded by this absolutely wonderful nature, sound, smells and everything. Let's see what Madam McCurdy thinks about that.
You just gave me goosebumps, Brent. No, it was because I got a bit chilly. But yes, that was very beautiful what you just said, and I do agree. For me, I don't get upset about not seeing any cats. Like, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you get lucky, other days, sometimes the bad luck lasts for a couple of days. That's just how it goes, I suppose. But the fact that I can say that every single morning I wake up, I get to come out and experience that amazing view from the top of the escarpment all the way down. There's very, 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 very little things that can compare. But here we have an elephant bull, a much older one than the fella that we saw a little bit earlier, the one who didn't like us very much. He's very relaxed, so he doesn't look like he's even going to look at us once. He looks like he's digging reeds. Now, Jeanette, you're wondering if there's any albino elephants out here. I haven't seen any. I reckon you'd probably see them quite easily. But sure, I would not like to be an albino elephant in Africa. Can you imagine? With a harsh sun, and especially out here in the savannah. Yes, there are trees scattered about, but that's not going to be very good. I don't know if something like that would live for very long. It's obviously a target. So those types of genetics tend to get weeded out. I mean, something bright and white is not meant to, well, be out here unless you're a bird or something like that. Everything else tends to blend into the vegetation. And he's looking for specific things, this bull. I mean, he's eating reeds or something. There must be a little lugger. It's quite wet down in there. It didn't look like he was eating grass. Or maybe he's changing his mind, having a variety of, well, I suppose he eats a salad, doesn't he? All the different types of grasses and leaves and plants. Salad bowl. But very calm, very relaxed. So we were talking earlier about being able to age an elephant by its tusks. And I mean, if you look at those tusks there, they both look like they've chipped off slightly. I don't think he's particularly old. I reckon he's in his 30s. He doesn't look massive. We've seen some bigger bulls, but he's got a nice set of ivory on them. But that's hard to tell. You see, they've broken off as well. So I think they would have been a bit longer at some point. And he's also secreting slightly from his temporal. He's in must. Look at that. If you look down at his nether regions between his back legs, you will see all the urine that is now dribbling. Well, yes, I don't need to explain it. So he is in must, so we probably won't sit here with him because he is taking a couple of steps. He's approaching the road, and we know that bulls that are in must typically aren't as tolerant of people, but he doesn't seem to be two-faced. I suppose it's just that they're grumpy, and like I said, they're not as tolerant, so you have to be a little bit on the careful side with them. So nice sighting of him, but we won't let him get too close to the car, otherwise that would be silly and I'll be asking for trouble. I am going to send you back across to the Safari Samurai, and hopefully he is going to find his black kukul.
Well, I think we're going to have to wait another day to find the black kukul, but I definitely will go look for it. Now, remember, in a few short days, I think about 8 if I'm correct, 7 or 8 days, we will be going live on Nat Geo Wild for Big Cat Week. Very, very exciting. Now, unfortunately, this means we have to do a bit of practicing to get our ducks in a row, or hopefully no ducks, but many big cats in a row. So this afternoon will be a private rehearsal. We will miss you, but we will be back on tomorrow's sunrise safari, and hopefully Djuma will be with us as well. Unfortunately, they're having issues with their internet this morning, but hopefully it will be fixed sharply. But it has been lovely taking you on a meander through the marvelous Masai Mara today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and a lovely bit of birding, lots of ellies, a few big cats, because of course we are in big cat country. Don't forget, Big Cat Week, as I said, in 8 days. We'll be seeing you live from the Mara and Djuma simultaneously, but from all of us here at Safari Live, we will see you tomorrow morning. So don't despair, we will be back.